Hello, my friendly friends. No joke to start this episode. We're just jumping right in because it's the finale. Yes! The final episodes of season 4 of Miraculous Ladybug. We've been all looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it. The season's been a wild one. Look, I even got ladybug earrings from my best friend and I decided to wear them. Look at them, how nice. I'm so ready for this event. So, here's the structure of this video in case you were curious. I'm going to give you my impressions right now of what I think's going to happen. Then we're going to watch the first episode. Then I'm going to react to my initial thoughts after the first episode. Then we're going to watch the second part 2, and then we're going to react to part 2. Because I don't think there's a point to me separating this out. It's a full, complex story, I'm sure, so I want to react to it all in this one episode. So here's my thoughts. Season 4 has been a mess so far, but it's been a mess that has tried. It has put effort into trying to make a more complex and interesting story. It just keeps going backwards and falling back on itself. So I'm torn because this could be, hey, we are going to culminate this all in a really interesting and really cool development. Something where SHADOWMOTH gets ahead or some, reveals are done. I don't think it's going to be the major reveal of Ladybug and Chat Noir because they already did a false one with the Turn Back Time Luca Second Chance episode. So I don't think they're going to do it now because why do it twice in one season? But I do think that there is potential for them to be like, hey, maybe Adrian learns who SHADOWMOTH is. Maybe SHADOWMOTH learns who one of them are. Maybe Mayura is revealed to be Natalie or something. I don't know too much what I'm going to bet on because it seems there's possibility, but it's also Miraculous. So it could just be we akumatize Chloe and Lila one more time. They try to do something, it seems impossible. They gather all the heroes up together and they defeat them, and something minor changes. Like, oh no, now Chat Noir knows who these other heroes' identities are. Like, it could be that simple, where nothing really changes at the core of the series, but they pretend it's such a big, oh god, everything changes, everything's impressive and new. But the first episode synopsis is, without Ladybug and Chat Noir knowing, SHADOWMOTH patiently sets his final attack in motion. And the only hints that gives me is potentially SHADOWMOTH gets found out, they know it's him, they catch him, but the Miraculouses get transferred to another person. That's the only thing I can think of that would be huge, but not series ending, but also fun. Like, that would be kind of where I would go with this story at this point, because something needs to change, but speculation stops there. And that's what I think. I am hopeful that this will knock my socks off. I am also hopeful that it's frustrating as frick, and I get more fodder for my season 4 ending rant. So let's figure out what's going to happen in season 4 finale. This one is Risk. So that just abruptly ended. So Risk is setting up some good things that I really like. The part with Marinette doing weird stuff to try to save Adrian is a little cringe, as Marinette usually is, but it's as Marinette usually is. So it's kind of understandable cringe, but everything with Adrian, everything with Felix is like, I love it. I'm loving the whole, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to talk to my father. And then Felix being like, no, I'll talk to your father. But actually, I'm a spy now with a super secret gadget that can, break into safes and, see freaking fingerprints. And I'm doing all sorts of touchy stuff. And I found my aunt in a casket. And, There is just so much going on, and it makes me excited, but then there's the part of me that anticipates that excitement is about to be destroyed in this next episode. Risk is adorable, like as an adorable froggy child, and every time the music comes up, I love a beautiful use of a children's lullaby to make something more horrifying. And this is the first time that, like, Miraculous has made me feel even a little bit of, like, horror tension. Not in the sense that it actually is scary. Obviously, it's Miraculous Ladybug. I'm not scared of Miraculous Ladybug. But every time that they just, like, touch their necks and you just hear in the background the children's lullaby going on, it creates this feeling of, like, oh, yeah, they are slowly working towards their doom. Like, they are making more and more choices. Each one of these is a mistake that is leading them to something inevitable that changes everything forever. Which is, to me, really cool. I like that sort of unease and that anticipation that, like, you think they're saying good things, because you've wanted them to say this for a while, but there's this unease that, yes, they're saying the right things, but they're kind of just going about them however they want. And, like, the most direct path is not always the best path. But yeah, I just really like a lot of what Risk is setting up. I don't know how the climax is going to work. I'm torn between hoping that they really go for it. You know, Adrian learns about his father and shows off who SHADOWMOTH is. He's revealed. He loses his father. Maybe that's a cool thing that happens that changes the next couple seasons. A new SHADOWMOTH is made, whether that be Natalie or that be, Felix or Lila, whoever, it ends up being. I'm really hoping for a confession, just from Marinette to Adrian. Just as their plain selves. I think it would be a really cool concept to have them dating in real life and not know each other's identities. Because every time they start dating in the, what if episodes, it's because they learn about each other's identities. And I think it'd be really cool to see them dating each other without that on the side. But also it's kind of like, would it be a 2-episode, like, oh, it didn't work out, kind of like Kagami and Luca. So it's a whole bunch of I'm torn about where I want this to go, but I'm really hoping it goes somewhere. Something has to happen. Something big has to change, whether that be something with Gabriel and SHADOWMOTH, something with Felix, something with their relationship with each other. All of those things feel at a point where something needs to tip over, and this is the perfect episode to do that. Set up the next season, have it be drastically different, but we're gonna see, because there is the potential that they just break against, like, the risks that they take actually work out. They defeat the 2 villains, realize they've been kind of silly. Somehow Adrian gets to stay in Paris instead of doing his father's really weird first love freaking program thingy. That part was weird. And then they hug and then they mesh into the perfume bottle and that's your son. It's so weird. But yeah, I like a lot of what they're setting up, and I'm really hoping that they continue that setup and we see a culmination, something that just makes stuff happen. Also, I can't remember if I kept this in. I think I didn't, because it was in Kuro Neko and I cut out a majority of that recording. But Natalie now has cool robot legs, and I really dig those cool robot legs. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this is going. I am really hoping that they keep on to this and just make them suffer. I want them to cry. Cry, dang you, cry! I am the worst fan. So yes, let's get to Strike Back. Woo! Well, they're screwed. Hello, friendly friends. to the finale. It's over. It's done. That was Miraculous Season 4. And it ended on a higher note than I expected. Though I'm still sad a couple things didn't get through. It still ended on a pretty sick, let's see what's gonna happen in the next season kind of feel. So the first thing is what actually did change. The thing that did change is that SHADOWMOTH now has all of the Miraculouses except for Ladybugs and Cat Noirs. So no other teammates. Absolutely none. All of them are gone, which honestly, hallelujah, hallelujah, thank goodness, thank God we finally got rid of everyone else. Yes, we won, go SHADOWMOTH, go Felix. Team Felix all the way, yes! I'm so happy they're all gone. I really think that, you know, their extra powers from the whole, like, a water power, ice power thingy were underutilized, and they gave up on that idea. And kind of, like, it was interesting, but also kind of very Power Rangers-y. Then they started with the team aspect, and I thought, okay, cool, a small team of heroes that they now rely upon that are reoccurring would be really cool. But then they kept going and going and going. They did the whole Chloe plotline, which didn't end up anywhere anyone wanted it to be. And then they started just, okay, now there's 13 heroes, and they're all random, and it honestly was an idea that was not working for the show. I don't think anyone... Like, we were all excited to see a new one just because, hey, new superhero, what's the power, what's the look? But, like, no one was excited for, like, a character progression or a plot thing having to do with any of these characters until Alia finally got to have her little arc. And then her arc ended in this season. Like, it started and ended in this season. So, all of the other powers and heroes and stuff were barely utilized. It was one episode to get them set up, or in the case of Penal Team, a fourth of an episode to get them set up, and then just, okay, now here's other stuff. Like, here's a bunch of other, you know, random scenes where they're in the background solving something, but they're not really the main point of the show at that point. And it just felt underutilized, it felt boring, it felt like, what is the point of having all these colorful heroes and doing all this stuff with them if none of them have any personality or any reason to even be there? So getting rid of them is really exciting to me because I hated them. I didn't want them there in the first place. Any episode that had a new one being put in was ultimately a boring, pointless episode, and I was like, yeah, I like this part about this hero, but I really could care less. I just want to get back to Rena Rouge, Cat Noir, and Ladybug, potentially doing something with SHADOWMOTH. Like, that was when the show was most fun, so I'm glad they're just getting rid of them. I also think that means that we get chance number 2 at some of these designs. Like, I love Purple Tigress, but I am willing to get rid of her if it means that we could get a new B Miraculous holder who doesn't look like crap. So yeah, like that part's really exciting to me. I love that SHADOWMOTH now has more happiness in his life. Really good for him finding a new outlook on life. I like that Felix is now kind of like a villain, and that's something that he's been he, out of all of the secondary villains of Lila, Chloe, and him, he's the one that's the most interesting because he seems the most competent, and compared to SHADOWMOTH, who isn't necessarily what I would call competent, he's, you know, he just does the same thing and stuff. Felix is a planner. Felix is a competent person who actually thinks through things. So I'm excited to see what he brings to Evil Plans because they can now be more interesting and like the more deep and involved than plans that SHADOWMOTH has been just putting together, or plans that Lila and Chloe just kind of like bullcrap themselves their way through. The actual fight's kind of interesting. I love that Rena Rouge was outed by Carapace. He's just like, no, my girlfriend, let me save her. And that Baronette's just like, what did you just say? Mother fricker. I liked that the Centimonsters got dissolved into space, into the sun. They fell into the sun so dramatically, just. And I have to say, probably my favorite part of this episode is that Adrien and Cat Noir becomes the main focal point again. Like, it's Ladybug and Cat Noir. And I think that's something, especially this season, a lot of us were feeling a lack of. But a lot of season 4 missed that key. Cat Noir as a balance to Ladybug, as a team partner, as an equal. Even in the beginning of, I think, Risk, he was like, don't worry, I get it. I'm just Cat Noir who's been demoted to a regular Miraculous holder. And that hurts, because, like, he's a key character that a lot of us have, fallen in love with. As a character, not as a child. Clarification, just in case you needed it. And because we love his character so much, we want to see him thrive. We want to see him feel important, and we want to see him do stuff in the plot that matters. And he's got such a key position in this plot. We want to see that put forward. We want to see that used and utilized. And it just wasn't in season 4. So the ending with him and Ladybug, it's very adorable. I very much liked that Ladybug was like, no, I suck, because she did. I can't believe I trusted some guy who looks like Adrien, and I just thought it would work out, and it did kind of work out, but also it was the key to my demise. Cat Noir's like, yes, but don't worry, I'm still here. Like, you haven't lost me. I still have my Miraculous, so it's okay. Like, everything's okay. They have, like, a nice moment where they connect. I think they're implying that Ladybug might like Cat Noir more now. I think. But it's kind of hard to tell because they've had these moments before and it's led to nothing. So, either she just respects him more as a friend, or maybe she started to have a tiny crush on him. I hope so. That would be great. And then he's like, oh, you have me. I thought it was really awkward when he turns, you have the people of Paris, and they're all just, Ladybug! Yeah, we all came here in like 2 minutes, in the 2 seconds that you've been pouting from SHADOWMOTH'S, message. We all decided to get out into this road where we didn't know where you were and just start cheering for you. Ladybug! Ladybug! It was so cringy. Let's go! We all totally understand what you're saying because we all understand Miraculous, like all the regular people totally know that there were multiple Miraculouses and the holders didn't have them all along, and now SHADOWMOTH has them, he can use them, and they totally know all those rules. They're not confused, what? I liked the twin tail look of her Pegasus bunny form. That was super cute. I just liked a lot about this season finale, and I think I like it a lot because there was good stuff in it, but also because the last season finale was so disappointing. The last season finale, obviously, the big thing is that Chloe was the villain again, and it kind of broke down this arc that they had been building for her that apparently Thomas didn't like, and so he shut down. At least that's kind of the narrative that's been put around. I don't know the truth of it, but whatever happened in that writing room, they had started a redemption arc and then they decided to not complete it and instead make her definitely a concrete villain forever and ever. Again, as I said in the last video, she cannot hold that role because she's not a character that's interesting enough to hold that role, but I digress. And since the last season finale really just screwed with how that season had been building, and in the end the only big interesting thing was now Marinette was in control of all the Miraculouses, which just meant that more heroes, which I already didn't like, it wasn't a thrilling finale. It was a finale that felt very much like, oh, we just kind of put something together and it seems big, but in the actual you know, in terms of actual content, it isn't a big difference from what it was. This one feels like it capitalized at least a bit on what it had set up in the whole season. So we got Cat Noir being unimportant, having an awful episode about that unimportance, but now he's the singular Miraculous holder again. That's good. It's showing how we missed him, how he was not utilized correctly, and now, hey, he's the only one left. So he's back to being his original importance. There's Rena Rouge, who at the beginning, you know, finds out Marinette's identity, becomes an integral part, has to become Rena Furtive because her identity's been compromised, until finally she's hiding it. She tells Nino, but doesn't tell Marinette that she tells Nino. And that culminates into she's still here, she was helpful in helping out, but her identity has been shown again, and this time she can't just hide again because now they know, yeah, she was in contact the whole time. Marinette can do that. Marinette was willing to do that. And it shows Shadow Moth kind of feeling like, hey, nothing's been working and they've been too perfect. So I gotta make them take risks and actually try to get her to make a mistake and not necessarily rely on my Akuma being super powerful, but instead making her more willing to do what I need her to do, which is make mistakes. And I think that's a good build up, because the entire season there has been, like Optigami, good episodes where he's starting to think things through, but they don't work out. And then Felix becomes a more important character because in season 4 he started to figure out that Shadow Moth was indeed Gabriel Agreste, and so he now knows, but he also always has been a bit of a dick, so he's turning on the bad side with this information instead of being a good guy. And that's all a great, like, okay, this is some of the key points that were touched on in this season. Here's how they all interact together. I think it did that well. But does that mean that this season ending was perfect? No. I do think that the Marinette trying to save Adrian thing was kind of, that was kind of cringy, not really necessary. I mean, I get it. Again, I said before, it very Marinette, but I just think it wasn't really necessary. The whole trip, how Felix and Adrian's relationship and how they're gonna finagle. Oh, Felix is the one on the train, whereas Adrian is the one at home. Don't know how that's gonna work out, because they didn't explain how Adrian's gonna explain that he's still here, other than maybe he doesn't go to school at all, and he just lives as Cat Noir. And the whole next season has no Adrian. It just has Felix pretending to be Adrian and planning things as Shadow Moth, or as, I guess he's not Shadow Moth anymore. I guess he's just back to being Hawk Moth. And we're gonna get a new, not Mayura. But like, yeah, it leaves a lot of questions there, doesn't it? Well, what's gonna happen? Is Adrian just gonna be homeless? Is he going to just be in his room randomly and his dad's gonna be like, but Natalie says she has Adrian. Well, that's actually Felix. What? I don't know how they're gonna solve that. That seems like it needed to be resolved, but it didn't. And there also is the issue of Felix's outfit, which, come on, I get it's the dog Miraculous, but put more effort. Why do you gotta just make them look like beagles? Like, just weird bodysuit beagles. Come on. You can do such cute things with a dog concept. Just think for like 5 seconds and make it a little bit more interesting than just, oh, it's got the beagle colors and looks like a bodysuit. But overall, I do have to say this turned out better than I was expecting. I definitely was kind of worried that they were going to pull another season 3 and have kind of an ending on some interesting concepts that have been built up. I want to say I kind of like this ending more because it ends on such a low note for our heroes, and that's something that Miraculous very rarely does. They have low notes, but it's usually like romantic low notes where Marinette's like, oh no, Adrien says he's in love with another girl, or Adrien gets with Kagami and Marinette's getting with Luca, and that's a low point because they love each other, and that's fine, but it's not really, like, you don't have stakes there, and we all anticipated, hey, they're gonna break up and they're gonna get together in the end. This is an interesting way to have them have a low point, make the new season look interesting, but also give them a room to be like, okay, we're still hopeful, but really put them down, make them really suffer, which is something that's very important, especially in a superhero story. It's kind of like the staple of the genre is in that right before the third act, the supervillain has to do something to the hero to make the hero at their absolute lowest so that they can then triumph, right? You know, killing off a romantic interest or killing off a family member of the superhero. The superhero accidentally gives away some sort of super secret or some weapon, something that the villain now uses in the third act to try to enact their evil plan. They get betrayed. There's always something that leads to the giant low right before the climactic high. And this is a good dramatic low for Miraculous that isn't perfect. I still wish Adrien had figured out either something about his mom or something about Hawkmoth. I still wish Marinette had been able to confess, even if it was just to Felix and then like realize it later. I wish she had actually been able to get through it and like, you know, do it. I obviously wish at the end had less of woo, Paris is behind us, and more of just having it be a quiet moment between Marinette or Ladybug and Cat Noir, like just being like, hey, we're partners till the end. I didn't need SHADOWMOTH being a huge face in the sky being like, whoa, I won, hey everybody, and then the Parisians being like, no, we're against you. I get it, but I didn't need it. But I am more happy about this than disappointed, and it does make me kind of excited for season 5 because there's a lot that can be done with it. Do I think they're going to surprise me and suddenly make the show fantastic in season 5? I don't know, because Thomas is off the writing team, so it does mean the potential is there. But anyway, I think I've droned on long enough. This was an interesting experience to watch season 4 live. Well, not live, but watch season 4 and then directly record my thoughts. And, you know, some of those thoughts changed after a while. Some of those thoughts cemented even more. It's just an interesting experience to immediately have to quantify and explain how I feel about something immediately after watching it for the first time. So it was fun. It was fun. It was an interesting experience. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed the finale. Even if there are some plot holes and some stuff that I'm gonna realize later on that's like, aw, shoot, that sucks or whatever. I hope you at least had fun. And yeah, I'm gonna go think about things for a while. Probably write my Kuroneko video, and we'll see what else I do. But until then, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye! Hi there, it's the end of the video, my friend. Hit the bell if it was okay, I'm sure I'll make good content someday. I'll play some games or do some drawing, Pokemon and fights with darling, video essays and reviews. I couldn't do it without you, so thanks, like and subscribe.